Good morning, YouTube. This is episode 5. A little bit different today. We're probably not fishing. I got a mold in from Do It, and I want to pour some and show you guys how I make my jigs. The jig I'm going to make today is a poison tail. So it's like a head and then a swinging hook. I'll obviously show you how it works. Pretty simple process to make jigs. It saves me quite a bit of money. I also sell them once in a while to friends or locals. But I'll probably show you how to pour, paint, and bake the poison tail. And I've already got some poured, painted, and baked football heads. So we'll probably show you how to skirt those, and I'll make a few of those since those have brush guards and everything. And yeah, it'll be a quick little video today. It's quarantine day 3 technically. I'm not going anywhere today. Probably shouldn't fish 3 days in a row, so take a day off. And I'll go fish tomorrow. It's supposed to be like 60 degrees. Maybe some of the bigger fish will move up again. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, first step here is to heat up your lead in the melting pot. Let me show you what that looks like. So this is just a cheap little melting pot. I think it's like a Lee melting pot. And you can see in there we got some molten lead. That guy needs a little bit of a clean out. Got it already pretty clean. It's good to run a fan while doing this, as well as have window open. You don't want to be breathing in toxic lead fumes. But yeah, so the first step is heat up the lead in the melting pot, and then I will actually take the mold that I'm pouring, which in this case is the poison swing tail from Do It, which autofocus not really going to take it, but I'll sit it on top of the mold and just heat it up a little bit. I find it will take the lead a little bit better if it's just a little bit warm at the beginning. Give that a second, and then I'm going to check back in with you and actually pour a few, and then we'll do the next step. So that's what we're doing today. Alright guys, anyway, I got the mold a little bit hot. As you can see here, this is what we're pouring today. I've got 6 sizes of these that I can make. The first step, like we already covered, was heat the mold up. The next move is to take some of these wire keepers, bait keepers, or whatever we're going to call them, and you got to feed the mold. And it takes 2 sizes. There's I'm probably going to be pretty hard to see. There's a long size and then there's a shorter size. This is the long size. This is what goes in the 1 ounce cavities and the 3/4 cavities. I'm gonna make a few 1 ounces and a few 3/4 ounces today. This is my first attempt at this, and it's definitely not something you want to be doing one-handed with a camera in your hand. But as you can see there, it sits. There we go. It sits in the mold like that, so that when I pour the lead in the cavity, it will leave me the little wire bait keeper there open. I know it's tough to see, but then we'll put the hook actually in that and close that up. So it's almost like a Texas rigged jig, basically, is what we're going to be making. Not completely similar to like a Trashmaster. Those have screw locks on them, but this is kind of have to be like a poor man's take on one of those. We'll see how this goes, but I'm going to put a couple more of these guys in there in the cavity, and then we'll probably dump some lead into this and see how it turns out. I'll probably make, let's see, we'll make 1/2, 3/4, and 1 ounce. So next step is close the mold up real snug, real tight, and then we're going to pour the lead in there. I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to get this camera angle. Alright, like I said, we got our mold, got the wire forms in there. The key to this is you put the hole of the mold right up to the tip there, and then all you got to do is lift that, and it fills with lead. And the lead cools actually quite quickly. Maybe tough to see, but that's the 1 ounce cavity, and we'll do the 3/4. And we'll do the 1/2. And these dry really fast actually, so if I open this up, they're already dried. And Come on, autofocus, you can do it. There we go. That's what they look like. The 1 ounce is on the other part of the mold, but we got the 3/4 and the 1/2 in there, and that's how easy it is to pour your own jig. Now the next step would be to take this actually out of here and cut off the excess. So we'll do that. Pull that out of the mold. And the 1 ounce guy here. So those are pulled out of the mold. We'll set that aside. And these are going to probably be pretty warm for a second, but the next step here, you've got your jig or football or swing head, and let's get that focused on there. Perfect. And now I'm going to trim off the sprue, I guess you'd call it. I've never again done this, so I'm going to trim that off. And now we've got this is the 1 ounce size, still very warm, don't want to touch it. But yeah, pretty simple process. Let's see, it's not too bad. So now the next step will be to stick a hook actually in here after we get this painted and a skirt on. We'll stick a hook in this opening, and we'll close it up. And now it's a kind of like a weedless football jig almost. You know, some people will actually shave down the heads here, make them look pretty, but I know these are just going to get hung in trees, so I'm not too concerned with it. Some people, if you buy these from me, I may take the time to shave the head down for you, but most likely not. The fish are pretty dumb and they don't care. So I'm going to pour some more of these, and then the next step will be to throw some paint on them. So pour some more and then I'll check back in. There you have it. That is what a finished pile of 1/2 ounce looks like. That's my 3/4, and over here is the ounces. So I poured like, I don't know, 9 or 10 of each of these. I think I got 10. And then the next step will be to paint them up. All right, so the next step in this process is paint. So to paint these, the best way to do it is heat them up. I got a heat gun there, real cheap heat gun, and you hold your jig, which looks like this. Now that we're done with it, hold your jig over the paint, the heat, and then we'll dip it in the paint. And for paint, we use a something called a fluid bed, which essentially is actually a modified homemade. This is a fish tank oxygenator, so it's pumping air through this tube up to the bottom of this bowl of paint because it keeps it fluffy. So you don't have to like always do the heat. Rotate it all around so you cover all the angles. This is the 1/2 ounce size we're doing currently. Get it good and warm. And the next step is into the paint. So give it a little dip. Now we've got ourselves a painted head here. Let me get that focus back in. That is a green pumpkin painted head. There you have it. That is a bunch of painted jigs here. Green pumpkin and black are kind of the primary colors I use. The whole point of the heat gun and everything, sticking them on there, is to make it so the powder paint will just kind of stick initially, and then you can get it in the oven for like, I don't know, 15 minutes on 350. I don't know if there's an exact science to that, but that's the next move, is to take these inside, put them in the oven, and while they're baking, I'll start making some skirts. Here it is, the last step in the process. I've got a Gamakatsu Superline EWG hook. I've got one of our poured and painted 3/4 ounce heads, and you'll notice the head has a little bit of an opening here. Let me see if I can focus in on that. And you take the hook and goes in like that, but then you got to close it with pliers. That's how it stays shut. So this is a little tricky to do on camera, but I'm doing my best. Found the best way to do this is to get the hook right about there and then get that guy like that, close it shut, and then it needs a little finagling. There we go. That one's actually pretty good. So you can see I got my fingers are where the line tie goes. I got the head, and then this is all closed up now, and the hook's on there. And then the last thing to do is put it in the oven with the rest of these guys and let them, bake for 10-15 minutes. Rex, that's not helpful, buddy. But I'll check back in when we get them out of the oven. I'm going to start tying up some skirts, and then we're almost done here. So, all right, here's the last piece of the puzzle here, and that is we've got our painted. Let's see if I can get that to focus. We've got our painted head here. Got the hook attached. I'm using the Gamakatsu Superline EWG hooks. These are so sharp. If they touch your skin, they're cutting them. But the next step is to get the skirt on. So the way to do that is you've got a little rubber band you've got to get forced onto the skirt somehow. So that's got to force up on there like that. And then this pointy edge comes off. You sit that there. And you got this tool here to push through the opening there. That's not helpful, Rex. And then I got two skirts here. These are just skirt tabs you buy online. I'm going to do a kind of an orangey craw and a green pumpkin. I know the autofocus isn't perfect on that, but I like to fold them kind of like so. A little bit tricky to do this through the camera here, but then you have it like that. And you feed that skirt through here to right about 3/4 of the way through. And I take the rubber band off, peel the rubber band off the edge of the. Come on, autofocus, please behave. And you pull this out, and you undo your edge there, and now you've got a rubber band on your skirt material. That's actually pretty good on the distance there. So the last piece of this is to line up the edges of your tabs here, like so, which I'm kind of not doing a great job of. And you get your scissors, and come on, focus on my fingers. There we go. And you do a little trim there of the tips of these things. And the dog has been sleeping all afternoon, but he decided that he would get up and join this video as well. So that's helpful of him. Then you come down to the other end. Come on, autofocus. There we go. Come to the other end, line those bad boys up, and cut the tip off like that. Then we take our swing head. And this part is pretty important if you want the jig of the skirt to sit correctly. The key to doing this is to somehow kind of center your hook right in the middle of this skirt mess and push it through. And you want to work the skirt up the hook, and this part gets tricky. Push the rubber band over the joint there, and then you got to make sure you don't got any tangles here. So we're almost there. You can see the little built-in weed guard keeper. We're almost to the point where I'm going to push that over. Let's try and push it over now. And now we're done. That's over. And then you got to kind of give the skirt some love, because it's not going to sit perfectly after you just jammed it on there, but once you kind of give it a little fluff, like you're doing some big hair, you end up with something that looks kind of like that. And the head then rotates, and you can put whatever trailer you want on this thing, and then the last step will be to add the eyes to this, because you can see they've got a little spot for eyes. So we will do that next. I normally don't always add eyes. The eyes are actually kind of newer to me. I figure I'm going to lose them in the trees anyway. Why do I really need eyes? But since these are weedless, you know, maybe eyes do make sense. And I'll keep these jigs around. But traditionally I don't use eyes. I picked these up down at K&K. And let's see, that's going to be tough to focus on there. There we go. This is kind of what the eye looks like. And we're going to just take a little dab of super glue and put that on there. Don't need much, I don't think. I know you're supposed to probably use something like an epoxy, but again, I am not a pro at this. I would call myself an amateur for sure. Get your eye on there, push that in there. Let's see if you can focus on that. And there you go. And if you look at this one, I actually put too much paint on the tip, and I can't even get a line through there. So I'm gonna have to drill that out. And this one's got a little junk on it because I dropped it in the bottom of the oven. So we're having ourselves a heck of a day. At least the dog left me alone. But we're having ourselves a heck of a day with this deal. I'm gonna have to run a drill bit through that one. I think that is the only one I've noticed that has it like that, but anyway, that's kind of what this ends up looking like with the eyes on it, and it's got the nice little orange tip, and then it's got the hook there, and you can put your favorite trailer on it, and that's kind of it. This is a 3/4 ounce one. Let's see, I'll show you some other ones I made. I've got a straight black and blue. Didn't put any eyes on this guy, but this is black and blue. Looks pretty good. I primarily made this and ordered this mold so that I could fish vertically in the trees. I don't think this is going to necessarily be an amazing bait you work across the bottom. I think it's either going to need to be swam or fished vertically, you know, coming up like this and on the skirt, pop and let your trailer hang, and I think that's going to be the move. But the goal is for this to be weedless and not lose as many. But and then here's also what a finished football jig looks like. I got the heavy brush guard on there, so it could be a little bit more weedless. And then this one I'm trying out these rattles for the first time, but you can kind of, I don't know if you can kind of hear that, but I've never tried rattles on the jigs before, and I thought we'd give that a go. But plan is to fish tomorrow out at Lost Grove with Justin and Trevor. Again, not sure who's going to end up going, but that's the plan tomorrow. But